Hello and welcome to On the Safe Side, a monthly podcast hosted by the editors of Safety and Health magazine, the official magazine of the National Safety Council. This is Alan Ferguson, Associate Editor at Safety and Health. With me, as always, are my fellow Associate Editors, Barry Bettino and Kevin Drewley. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Alan.
Hey there, Alan.
We're thankful that you joined us for this April 2026 episode, number 74 in our history. This month's episode is sponsored by Lehigh Custom Fit. We know that many of you in listener land have had a unique journey into the safety profession. We'd like to hear more about it for our My Story feature in our magazine. You can submit a personal story by emailing us at safehealth@nsc.org or encourage a safety colleague to do the same. In this month's episode, we'll examine some key stories from the April issue of Safety and Health. We'll also talk to Jason Harris, the opening keynote speaker for the upcoming NSC Safety Summit in Baltimore, which is set for May 6th to the 8th. Finally, we'll share some things you may have missed in What Else or In Case You Missed It segment. Is everybody ready? Let's go.
Well, folks, it's the time of year for hunkering down to answer questions about expenditures. No, we're not referring to tax season, but rather the Safety and Health Training Survey, which is featured in our April issue. Back after a 2-year hiatus, the survey asked respondents questions about how much employers spend on training and what types they use, among other training-related topics. Interestingly, nearly half of the respondents said their organization spent less than $200 per learner on training, even though many indicated their organization's spending budgets rose to reflect higher training costs. Still, an overwhelming majority, 92%, said the reason for conducting training was to reduce injuries and illnesses. That, of course, is the name of the game. A feature story from yours truly focuses on how electrical utility line workers meet the same mitigation objective. These workers face multiple hazards, including contact with high voltage lines, working at height, and inclement weather. However, industry leaders stress that incidents are preventable through proper hazard identification and mitigation measures. The Fallen Lineman Organization, which helps raise money to support families of line workers who have died or been severely injured on the job, estimates that 45 line workers suffer fatal occupational injuries each year. Experts call for thorough job hazard analyses before work begins. And one says, quote, "You're supposed to start your day with your crew going over those mitigations, going over the hazards and what we're going to do to prevent the hazards," unquote. OSHA standard on electrical power generation, transmission, and distribution, which is 1910-269, says that employers must have a program comprising energy control procedures, worker training, and periodic inspections. Experts also recommend employers and workers follow the National Fire Protection Association's voluntary standard for electrical safety in the workplace, NFPA 70E, and various other Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers voluntary standards. Experts note that when addressing these standards, employers should clearly communicate requirements in a way workers can easily understand and verify their understanding through a structured knowledge check or teach back. As with other issues of safety and health, this one also features news, insights into new products, and more, which you can find in print or online at safetyandhealthmagazine.com.
Lehigh Custom Fit is the leader in managed PPE programs for safety footwear, prescription safety eyewear, and wellness protection. They offer a simplified data-driven solution for greater program control and visibility that drives compliance, productivity, and a positive work culture. By providing unmatched product selection with innovative technology, their program ensures employees have the most accurate fit safety footwear. They multiply that safety with employee wellness protection, incorporating body-aligning orthotics and anti-fatigue compression socks. Lehigh Custom Fit is your solution for greater safety. Learn more at www.customfit.me. No Fail Trust, the flight plan to a high-performance team, is the title of Jason Harris's opening keynote speech set for May 7th at the NSC Safety Summit in Baltimore. Jason, who is a retired U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel and airline pilot, will explore how to unlock a culture where trust elevates performance. He'll also provide proven tools and tactics that leaders need to navigate turbulence, strengthen collaboration, and build empowered, accountable, high-performing teams. And this month on the Safe Side, Jason is joining us to discuss his presentation. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, thanks so much for having me here, guys.
Absolutely. We wanted to start with you, Jason, with just a really important question. Why is trust an important aspect when it comes to workplace safety, do you feel?
First and foremost, safety doesn't fail because people don't know the rules. Safety actually fails when people don't trust each other enough to speak up. What I mean by that is oftentimes we train people in our organizations to do the job. We tell them the rules. We tell them you need to wear PPE. We give them everything that they need. And then we realize that it's not that they didn't get the right training, it's that they didn't feel comfortable speaking up. So when you start talking about trust being an important aspect of workplace safety, it's really trust being the ability for people to speak up when things get challenging, the ability for them to call out the things that are going wrong in the midst of chaos in the environments, the ability for them to actually say something is wrong to that person who's been on the job longer than they've been alive. Those kind of situations, trust really matters.
In your experience, Jason, how does trust make people safer?
Trust makes people safer because it gives them the permission to speak up when something becomes a problem, but more importantly, before something becomes a problem. For me, that really shows itself when I look back into flying airplanes. So flying C-130s, we had these young people in the back of our airplanes called our load masters. And those load masters, believe it or not, they might have been the youngest person on the crew. They might have been the least educated on the crew. They might have been the least experienced on the crew. And oh, guess what? They couldn't see outside of the front of the airplane, but they could make calls that would save our lives. When we gave them the power to speak up, when we created the environment that allowed them to feel safe to say something when they see something. We've all heard about these environments where we say these really cool statements, like if you see something, say something. But oftentimes we don't really mean it. And so someone will see something and they'll say something and then they get schwacked. The moment you schwack that person who says something, the other people are going to go, don't say anything. Or they're going to realize, I better not say anything because I don't want to get schwacked just like the other person. We create that safety by making sure that people feel comfortable being able to speak up when they do see something that's out of order and that's actually unsafe.
Jason, what are some ways that safety and health professionals can build trust in the workplace?
There's multiple ways that we can build trust in the workplace. Primary ways that I would argue and that I would posit for your audience is that they can build trust through these three areas: through competence, through consistency, through care, and then I'd add one more, through connection. Well, they trust leaders that are competent, they trust leaders that are consistent, and they trust leaders that genuinely care about the team. When we're talking about how do our leaders build that level of trust, it starts with connection. It starts with that connection that leads to commitment, that leads to accountability, that then leads to trust. And when we create the right environment as leaders, when we create an environment that is actually built on commitment, that is built on trust, you're now creating that environment that allows people to feel comfortable to speak up. You're allowing people to get comfortable with saying, hey, I see something that's out of order. You're allowing people to actually look out for each other and to take care of each other. And you're creating this space where people trust not only that their words matter, not only that their voice matters, but that their leadership is going to also take care of them when they do speak up. That becomes really, really important. And it becomes invaluable in the work environment, especially as we're talking about safety and creating safety cultures in the workplace.
As we all know, trust is something that can be lost. What are some strategies for maintaining trust?
Wow, there's tons of strategies for maintaining trust. For me, I'm going to give a keynote speech. Let's just be really clear. Trust isn't built on some cute speech. It's not built on some rah-rah speeches. It's built in these small decisions that we make over time, these small actions that we repeat over time. That's how we build trust. Trust is extremely fragile. What we realize is that people, they're always watching their leaders. They're always watching each other, and they're watching what do we do and how do we handle each situation. Every single little action that we take, every single little thing that we do, people are watching, they're evaluating, and we're building trust in those moments with what they are seeing their leaders doing. They're building trust or destroying trust by what they're seeing the senior members of the team do. If you tell your team, hey, the expectation is for you to clear the environment before you actually move that bucket truck or you go up on that power line, hey, the directive is you're required by process and by compliance to wear PPE for these type of events. And then you start seeing leaders that are not doing that. You start seeing people who've been there for 15, 20 years and they're not doing it. You're actually destroying trust because they're going to say, well, apparently it doesn't matter. And oh, by the way, you want to destroy trust even more. Don't allow them to say something about it and don't do anything about it when they bring that to you. These are some of those things that we can acknowledge, call out, and start figuring out how do we get better to maintain that level of trust and to build that level of trust, realizing that it's built in every single little action that we do every single day.
Jason, as we wrap up with you, I wanted to ask you, what do you want attendees in Baltimore to take away from your presentation?
First and foremost, I'm really excited to be able to spend the time with each of you. I'm really excited to spend the time with your audience there in Baltimore. While I would love for them to take away tons of notes and tons of insights, the biggest thing for me that I want people to take away when I'm done speaking is I want them to think that if you want a safer workplace, you've got to build a culture where every voice matters. This is imperative. The safest organizations, they aren't the ones with the most rules. They're the ones that have the most trust. I want people, when they walk away, I want them to be thinking about what kind of environment am I creating? What kind of culture am I creating? And do people feel comfortable? Do people feel safe speaking up? Do people feel like this culture is a culture that's built on commitment, mutual commitment from the leaders, from the senior members of the team to everyone else on the team, so that we're creating a culture that is a safety culture that is built on the foundation of trust? That's what I really want people to take away, because without trust, you actually don't have a true safety culture without true foundational trust across the board.
Well, once again, folks, Jason's keynote speech will take place May 7th at 8 a.m. Eastern Time at the Baltimore Convention Center. You can learn more about Jason at jasonoharris, all one word, .com. And for information on NSC's Spring Safety event, visit 2026safetysummit.nsc.org. Jason, thank you so much for your time again. We're grateful to spend some time with you this month on the safe side.
Awesome. Fellas, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really looking forward to being with you all, being with your audience, and helping to create those amazing, trusted, safety-centered cultures.
Tax brackets, busted NCAA tournament brackets, perhaps even some DIY garage wall shelf brackets to usher in spring cleaning. No doubt, busy federal obligations and extracurriculars bracket our existences in April, raising the possibility for occupational safety news to slip through the cracks. For that, we've got you covered with our monthly In Case You Missed It segment. To kick things off, I wanted to discuss briefly some recent proposals from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They're requesting comment on proposed rules that would remove maximum line speeds at eligible pork processing facilities and permanently raise some poultry processing line speed limits. This is something we've covered at Safety and Health intermittently as things develop. In the last year, the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, had announced the USDA wanted to initiate rulemaking for these very things to quote-unquote formalize these faster line speeds that were initially allowed at certain facilities under a trial period. We have covered, again, some of these trial periods and the worker response, but it's just really illustrating that the rulemakings are in motion and things that were promised to be happening are. If you follow the saga, similar to what you might be familiar with, just with the industry groups, including the National Pork Producers Council and the National Chicken Council, are proponents of these increased line speeds. They're citing research that says that they are not detrimental to worker safety, and various other citations from other nations around the world who have faster line speeds and are not showing increased worker injury. But of course, the worker groups counter that point, and they're talking about not only the safety of the workers, but the safety of the food. The idea that as these line speeds are, in their estimation, kind of being haphazardly monitored, the safety across the board is being compromised. This is in the proposal phase. We'll see what happens with the comments, which were ongoing as of the time of recording. But again, just some more developments in the world of meat processing line speeds. Barry, how about you?
Well, Kevin, I wanted to share with you, folks in Arizona have recently noticed a rise in youth labor law infractions. What they're pointing to is what they say is a spate of outdated and ineffective administration provisions. The Industrial Commission of Arizona has created the Youth Labor Task Force. They did so in late January. And what this task force is going to be doing is going to be made up of leaders from the public and private sectors, industry organizations, and youth labor law representatives. And they are going to be looking to evaluate the current youth labor laws and rules in the state. And they're being tasked with coming up with what they're saying are specific and actionable recommendations that will enhance the youth labor conditions. And the chairman of the Industrial Commission of Arizona is a gentleman named Dennis Kavanaugh. And Dennis Kavanaugh said he was the chief counsel 40 years ago for the ICA, and he represented the state labor department in child labor cases. And what Kavanaugh said was, quote, "Those laws were antiquated back then," unquote. So I think what they're trying to do in the state is really take a wholesale look at youth labor laws and bring them more up to date. So keep an eye on that for everyone, for our readers out there. And Alan, let me send it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. In case you missed it, OSHA has published some more information about its new Safety Champions program. The agency now has a step-by-step guide and a fact sheet, and also recently put out a short video about the program, which is voluntary and self-guided and is intended to meet businesses, quote unquote, where they are and support them in developing effective safety and health programs. Programs open to all private and public sector work sites covered by OSHA. It has 7 core elements from their recommended practices, which is management, leadership, worker participation, hazard identification, assessment, hazard prevention and control, education and training, program evaluation and improvement, and coordination and communication for host employers, contractors, and staffing agencies. And now the fact sheet kind of, I feel like, delves in a little bit more than some of the other items we've gotten from OSHA about this program. It's 3 steps that make up this Safety Champions program. It's introductory, intermediate, and advanced. And OSHA says upon successful completion of the advanced step, participating employers will have a safety and health program that integrates all 7 core elements and reflects a proactive approach to safety and health.
Well, excellent as usual, guys. Is there something you think we missed? Let us know at safehealth@nsc.org and check out news from around the safety world at safetyandhealthmagazine.com.
Thank you very much for joining us for this month's episode of On the Safe Side. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending some of it with us wherever you choose to listen. You can check out our past episodes by going to safetyandhealthmagazine.com/podcasts. We trust that you'll enjoy episode 40 from June of 2023, when Tara Kyle of Michigan OSHA joined us to talk all about safety walkarounds. The original music for this podcast was composed by Steve Maslin. Thank you very much, Steve. As always, we thank our NSC teammates behind the scenes who help make this podcast go. And a special thank you this month to our sponsor, Lehigh Custom Fit. We'll be back next month to have more safety-related discussions, talk to trusted voices from around the profession, and hopefully make you smile a little. Until then, please stay on the safe side.